Hey guys, this is your host Eric. Today we are going to watch action genre movie called Mechanic Resurrection. Spoilers ahead, turn on your subtitle. I greatly appreciate your support. Enjoy the video. The Mechanic Resurrection begins with Arthur Bishop relaxing in his spare time. Arthur has been living a quiet life in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil, since faking his own death, taking the name Santos. Arthur is visited one day by a woman named Renee, who is aware of his true identity as Arthur Bishop, assassin. Renee then explains that her master Crane wanted Arthur to kill the 3 targets and cover it up as an accident. Renee intends to murder Arthur because he is hesitant to accept the offer. Renee's men then arrived and engaged in a fierce fight. Arthur then jumped onto the cable car, but Renee and her henchmen pursued him until he managed to escape by paragliding in the air, because his hiding place was discovered. Arthur was forced to flee to Thailand. He meets his friend, a woman named May, there. May then took Arthur to one of her resort island's beach houses and let him stay for a while. May later approached Arthur and asked him to assist a woman who had been beaten by a man on a boat. May recognized the woman as Gina Thornton, who had previously visited her resort. Arthur was initially hesitant to assist Gina because he didn't want to get involved in other people's affairs. He became enraged after being pressed by May. Arthur then went to Gina's boat and tried to help her when a man named Frank was about to rape her. Arthur and Frank have a fight that results in Frank's death. He then set fire to the boat to clear the air. May then drives Gina to a beach house where she can relax. However, Arthur quickly discovers Gina's connection to Crane and concludes that Crane purposefully uses Gina as bait to lure him out of his hiding place. Arthur threatens Gina with a gun and forces her to tell her about Crane's plan. Gina tries but fails to take the gun from Arthur's grip. She admits to working for Crane, but only because she was forced to because Crane blackmailed her. Arthur then asks Gina to take him to Crane and kill him, but Gina refuses because she doesn't know where Crane is. He uses traditional medicine to treat Gina's bruises, claiming that her father is a healer. He inquired as to how Crane blackmailed her. Gina reveals that she owns a children's shelter in Cambodia, and that a Crane once murdered one of her employees because she refused to work for him. Crane then threatens to kill the children if she continues to refuse to work with him. Gina is forced to comply with Crane's wishes in order to ensure the safety of the children and employees. After hearing Gina's explanation, Arthur promised to assist her in resolving her issue with Crane. Crane's men were spying on them, Arthur realized. He then purposefully took Gina's hand, concluding that Crane might have expected him and Gina to become romantically involved. Over the next few days, Arthur and Gina appear to grow closer and demonstrate that they truly love each other. Men rushed over and kidnapped the Cranes, as expected. Arthur and Gina are led to Crane's headquarters, where Crane has kidnapped Gina. Crane gives Arthur a file containing information on the targets he must kill in order for him to complete his mission. The first target was an arms dealer named Krill, who was imprisoned in Malaysia. Krill is being held in a maximum security prison in the middle of a shark-infested ocean, according to Crane. Not only that, but Krill is always closely guarded by his men for the entire 24 hours. Of course, this did not frighten Arthur. He gets himself imprisoned by posing as a local police fugitive and a drug dealer. It is known that Krill once massacred the family of one of his henchmen, inspiring the henchmen to kill him in order to avenge his own death. After a long period of watching Krill and his minions, the moment he had been waiting for had finally arrived. The henchman attempts to kill Krill while he is caught off guard, but Arthur kills him right in front of Krill. When Krill realized Arthur had saved his life, he invited him to his private quarters. Krill reveals that he is constantly the target of murder in prison and thus requires full escort. Krill rants about what he plans to do once he is released from prison. After that, Arthur strangles him to death. Arthur consumes Krill poison to disguise his death. Then Arthur blows up the prison walls and jumps into the sea. After successfully killing Krill Arthurs, he finds himself in the chaos where Crane's ship awaits him. Adrian Cook, a billionaire from Sydney and former trafficker of underage sex workers, is the next target. Not only that, but Adrian, like Krill, is an arms dealer. Adrian lives in a luxury penthouse apartment with very tight security and a swimming pool at an alley. Arthur pretends to be looking for an apartment near Adrian's. He then duplicated the key and studied the apartment building's floor plan. The next day, Arthur uses his skills as an experienced hitman to break through the apartment's tight security and enter an apartment unit with a duplicate key. He then creeps up to Adrian's apartment, punches a hole in the bottom of the swimming pool's glass, and inserts a small tube containing a chemical, causing the glass to crack. Adrian's swimming causes the crack in the glass to widen. Adrian became trapped in a powerful whirlpool as the water jutted down, making it difficult for him to exit the pool. Adrian then died just as Arthur emerged from the apartment building, and no one suspected him. While relaying information about the third target, Crane allowed Arthur to communicate with Gina via video call. Gina can be seen on Crane's ship. Gina then stated that her watch was broken. After all, the code visible behind her was a code for Arthur to identify Crane's boat number. After learning the number, Arthur contacted the port and learned the location of the ship where Gina was being held. The following day, Arthur flew to the location by helicopter. He fights Cranes and men while attempting to save Gina. However, Arthur is outnumbered and is apprehended by the Crane's men. Crane is enraged after learning of Arthur's actions and demands that he complete the final murder within 24 hours or else he will kill Gina. Arthur's final target is Max Adams, an arms dealer who controls the market in America and is currently in Varna, Bulgaria. Max, on the other hand, immediately ordered his men to increase security after learning that Krill and Adrian had been killed by someone. While plotting the assassination of Max Arthur, he realizes that his final target is Crane's only major competitor in the arms sales market. Because breaking into Max's base was impossible, Arthur shot one of the roof guards. As the guards leave their post to assist a wounded comrade, he sneaks in and blows up the lift access road, preventing the other guards from pursuing him. Knowing that someone is attempting to break into the headquarters, Max rushes to his office, which has Maximum. Unexpectedly, Arthur was already pointing a gun at Max when he arrived at his office. When someone pointed a gun at Max and asked Arthur why he had come to him, he didn't seem alarmed. Arthur tells Max about Crane's plan to eliminate him and says he wants to work with him to get rid of Crane. Max realized right away that Arthur had murdered Krill and Adrian. Of course, Max, who truly intends to be the only arms dealer in the area, does not waste his offer of cooperation from them. Max and Arthur then devised a plan to cover up Max's death by blowing up the base and destroying his tracks in the ocean. The news of the massive explosion that killed Max Adams drew the attention of many people, including Crane, who was watching it on television. In fact, Arthur was able to transport Max to a remote island where he could hide. Arthur then called Crane and informed him that his work was completed. However, Crane stated that his work would be considered complete only after he had confirmed Max's death by inspecting his corpse. Arthur, anticipating this, summoned Crane to the submarine pen to inspect Max's body, believing it to be a trap. Crane directed his mercenaries to the location while observing them through the camera. On the other hand, Arthur began to make plans in the submarine pen to deal with Crane's henchmen, who were quite numerous, so that he would not be overwhelmed and could save Gina. Crane's men arrived not long after and were immediately met with resistance from. It didn't take long for Arthur to decimate Cranes and mercenaries and swim towards the ship where Gina was being held hostage elsewhere by Crane. Crane, realizing that his men have been defeated, orders his men on the ship to tighten security and relocate Gina. Knowing Arthur has defeated all of his men, Crane sets off a bomb that will destroy the entire ship and intends to do so. But, of course, Arthur did not allow Crane to flee. He kills the remaining Cranes after learning that the ship is about to explode. With only a few seconds before the explosion, mercenaries overpower the Crane and secure him to the boat with a metal chain. Not long after the ship exploded and killed everyone, he secures Gina to an emergency release pod. The scene then shifts to Gina being rescued from the emergency release pod, and she appears shocked to learn that there are no survivors from the ship. Gina was later discovered to have returned to Cambodia and was running her children's shelter. Gina appears depressed one day because she is still thinking about Arthur, who was allegedly killed in the Crane ship explosion some time ago. Her face brightened instantly when she saw Arthur standing in front of her without any visible injury. The scene then shifts to Max in his office. In anticipation of a possible, he was seen investigating the Crane's internal structure, which revealed a fire-resistant watertight chain locker. Max discovers Arthur's survival strategy, but destroys the evidence as a token of gratitude for saving his life and allowing him to monopolize the arms trade by stealing market share from Crane, Krill, and Adrian. This film clearly teaches that it takes effort and ingenuity to save someone who is so important to us. When Arthur works with Max, he demonstrates that he is more than just a hitman who can quickly kill his enemies. He can also use his ingenuity to save the woman he loves. We really appreciate you watching. If you enjoy this video, please give it a like. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel with the notification bell because it is really important for us. Thank you.